Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is Keith with Positively Osceola, and thank you for joining us for another In the Loop Live. Certainly, Positively Osceola has a blast with great conversations that we get to have all the time and every day. And sometimes we seem like we never have enough time to do the shows because there are so many great folks to talk to in and around the community. And that is going to be what we are doing today when we speak to the chairman of the Osceola County Board of County Commissioners from District 3, and that is Osceola County Commissioner Brandon Arrington. Boom! How you doing?
Good, Keith. How you doing? Happy St. Patty's Day.
Same to you. We are that discussion we are casually having. You never know. We could be both a bit Irish.
I haven't done the 23andMe yet, but I'm from my skin tone and perplexed. I would think I might have some in me. Fortunately, Kristen is actually in Dublin right now.
Right.
She is over there with the Irish caucus from Tallahassee. They met with the Senate yesterday and had a chance to tour Parliament and are now taking in St. Patty's Day in Dublin for the next couple of days.
So, like, if you have, a chance to enjoy St. Patrick's Day, why would you not enjoy it in Ireland?
Yeah, well, when the head of the Senate invites you to come, as I told her, that's a once in a lifetime opportunity,
That's
and
great.
she better take advantage of it.
Yeah, I hear I've got a couple close friends that we in the music business that are actually from Ireland, and the pictures are amazing. The beauty of that area.
I had a chance to visit it right before the pandemic back in 2020, and it's a great country, wonderful people, great food. I encourage everyone to actually go see it. So,
well, you and I aren't going to make it today, so instead we're going to be here talking in the midst of Osceola County. All right?
That sounds like a plan.
All right, let's make it official. Here we go. Well, again, this is Keith with Positively Osceola, another one of our In the Loop live discussions. And today we are with the chairman of the Osceola County Board of County Commissioners, that is Chairman Brandon Arrington. So thank you again. I think sometimes I use it as an intro, saying that we're really honored to have so many folks that are doing so much in the county. I really don't take that for granted. Not everybody gets a chance to speak to everybody that's right in the midst of what's happening. This is a big county. Lots going on. We've talked about that a lot. So I've got the easy job today. I sit back and just ask you kind of to fill us in with what's going on, what's been recently happening. And
sure.
You mentioned workshops, so we'll let you go from there, sir.
Thanks, Keith. I appreciate the opportunity to engage with you and also speak to our community. The County Commission, what I'm going to talk about today is our workshop that we had recently. It was about 2 weeks ago. And the County Commission has workshops probably 2 to 3 times throughout the year. And a lot of times it's to bring up new ideas, discuss opportunities in our community, and kind of give direction to our staff and our team on how the commission wants to move forward. Yeah. So this workshop that we just most recently had a couple different topics that I'm going to try and touch on. And feel free to hit me up and ask questions. And if I'm leaving anything out, just let me know as well. The first item on our agenda for our workshop was a performing arts center for Osceola County. If you're anyone who's familiar with Osceola County and knows that we have a lack of opportunities for cultural outlets here in Osceola County. So the County Commission, after doing some study and some work for the last year, working with some of our staff members and some teams throughout the community, began looking at what a performing arts center would look like here in Osceola County. So the County Commission, after those efforts, has decided to set aside $75 million of tourism tax dollars to build a new performing arts center in Neo City. We are looking at building an interior space for capacity of somewhere between 800 to 1,500 seats, but we're also looking to try and create an outdoor venue as well, roughly in the neighborhood of about 2,500 seats. And then we're trying to find partnerships as well for this facility. We've begun talking with Valencia, perhaps about some training opportunities for their college, which is right across the street from Neo City, and also some partners that might be able to help us with funding and moving this forward. If anyone had a chance during the pandemic to go to Orlando and visit the Dr. Phillips Performing Arts Center and really take in how they utilize that facility to create outdoor opportunities and bring our community together. And that's one of the things in Osceola County that we kind of lack. Besides our lakefronts, which are great gathering hubs for our community, we really don't have a lot of those central spots for us as a community to come together, connect with our individuals, our neighbors, our friends, and our family as well. And so by looking at building a new performing arts center here, we're going to be looking at how we can create more programming and more diverse programming. And that's one of the things I've stated all along is there really isn't a huge opportunity for diverse programming in Central Florida. And I'll just touch on Hispanic theater, for instance. There's little offering for our Hispanic community in the way of theater fully in Spanish. We've had a couple programs at OHP, also Osceola Arts has had some programs, and typically when they happen, they do really well. But that could be said for any of our diverse communities, whether that's our Haitian population or perhaps some of our Pan-American population that we have here. We're looking for a way to use a facility to bring us all together, bring in some touring opportunities, as well as create some local performances, and also try and once again create that facility that everyone is drawn to and goes to on a weekend per se. This is a big investment in Neo City, where a lot of funds for Osceola County are going as we kind of make that our business and cultural hub moving forward over the next 20 to 30 years. Keith, I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, if you press the mute button, it's magically not going to. It's magic.
We've all done that in a Zoom once or twice, I'm sure.
Yeah, I remember I worked with a guy in the tech field about 10 years ago. He always said, it's always one button away from working. Guy was right. So what hit me real quick, and I think it's a great thing. So what hit me is to ask you. So when you look at that as an overview, when we say arts, in whether indoor or outdoor, what are you thinking? Mostly theater, blend theater, art, music?
No, the idea is obviously for all types of art forms,
Okay.
whether that's performance art, whether that's theater, whether that's concerts, whether that's public speaking series, really a venue that can host a myriad of opportunities and engage our community and provide those cultural opportunities that we may not have here in our community. So I would tell you, we've really tried to look at the gamut when we're looking at what might be able to be there and create a facility that I know this may sound crazy, that's very functional for most events. Now, it will not be an opera hall. And when I say that, it will not have the acoustics or be built specifically for one specific thing. And that's what we've seen in some of our research is the beauty of some of those flex spaces. I'll use Dr. Phillips Center, for instance. They have the Disney Theater. They also have the Pew Theater. And the Pew Theater is a very flexible space that's able to change out and have the floor raised, have it lowered, meet the stage height. Really a space that's functional, that we can hopefully create some revenue to be able to pay for the facility, but also really engage our community. So we're looking, like I said, for everything: concerts, comedians, performances, touring theaters. Well, really what we've tried to do is find what that gap in performance space size is in Central Florida, because we don't want to be in direct competition, whether it's with UCF, Dr. Phillips, or perhaps even any of the other facilities that we have throughout Central Florida. So we've really tried to work to find that gap in seating capacity for the events that are touring and also done here locally as well.
So you mentioned Valencia. So we all know Dr. Polinsky's doing an amazing job with Valencia. I'm going to hopefully not be wrong. So I don't think that they have a performing arts auditorium per se at the Osceola campus. My son is actually in the symphonic band, and so he has to. So right from this area, Kissimmee, St. Cloud area, those kids have to go to the East Campus, which is not a terribly long ride, but it is 35, 40 minutes. So that's not here. And so you're saying that a possible relationship might open up that kind of scenario for, say, a college. Look.
Exactly. And Keith, we've talked to Valencia over the years, and my understanding from my conversations a year or two ago, they have planned for a performing arts facility at the Osceola campus. And I think they had with the estimation of around $28 million to
Right.
build that facility. Obviously, those funds are dependent on whether the state will provide them to be able to create that opportunity.
Sure.
So we said, well, if we're going to be building one, why don't we be able to create one that can function for them as well? And that could be additional classroom space, that could be teaching centers from a tech standpoint as well, and also create opportunities for volunteering and working there, whether it's in the box office ushering or even backstage. There's lots of jobs that'll be created from that facility, but we just think it would behoove us to create as many partners as possible, so we have a building that is thriving and vibrant 24/7.
Yeah.
And you know, that's I think that's the key with trying to bring in a college, and that participation is that we would be able to have programming in the middle of the day and be able to use that facility, as opposed to that facility sitting dark on Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays and waiting for a performance to come in. So we're really trying to take a long approach to this. And the outdoor facility has really been something that all the commission has really been adamant about trying to include as well. If you haven't had a chance to drive by Neo City, there's a great 100-acre pond that's used to water reclamation and cleaning our water before we send it downstream and stream. And so we're going to be using that asset to build that theater around and try and take in some of that nature as well. That's our hope, I should say.
Did some of the decision making when you're processing it out, the first thing, I mean, before even what I just talked about with you, what you've shared, before that hit me, what hit me was, geez, this is also not that far from Osceola Heritage Park, and what a huge, this is a huge event complex that's not far from another huge event complex. Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's in theory it's almost an entertainment district once
Right.
this gets created with Neo City as well, and some of the improvements we've made out there at OHP, and some of the developments that will be coming here in, when I say that, the hotel developments that we partnered with and private hotels will be coming in. So over the next 5 to 10 years, we could see a great evolution of that whole area from an entertainment standpoint.
Love it. Personally, we're this huge, diverse, hugely diverse county. The more, which I think, no question, we're going to see arts just explode in this area.
Yeah.
So to have that infrastructure, great.
That's the hope. So we're trying to get that going and moving forward, because really the only cultural arts facility we have in Osceola County is Osceola Arts, and we're
Sure.
talking about a 244 seat theater that was built in 1967. So our community is due for some improvements in that area, I would say.
No doubt about it.
Another great thing that we touched on in our workshop was the McCormick Institute. I'm sure, Keith, you're probably familiar with the McCormick Institute and the research work they do with our veterans, but also have done in the past with some of our disabled children as well. And that's a therapeutic writing center over in St. Cloud that we partnered with many years ago to create those stables and to move that program forward. Well, they have reached back out to us, and we're trying to gain a capital expenditure to create more classroom space for their veterans. And so we've partnered with them, and we'll be providing funding for them to move forward. We're hoping that they're going to be bringing forward a match as well to those construction dollars. So we'll be able to create some community space, some classroom space for our veterans, that we're also looking to take probably one of our veterans facilitators that we have on staff that Osceola County has, and placing it in that facility. One, to connect with the veterans that are gaining service there at that facility, but also a chance to bring in veterans who may not have thought about using equine therapy to help with PTSD or other issues they have from warfare. So that's something we've been partnering with, and we're going to be moving forward over the next couple of years. It's a great nonprofit, and we always enjoy working with our nonprofits and trying to help those out to move them forward. And to that note, Commissioner Grieve had even just come forward at 2 meetings ago about providing the YMCA with funding to improve their pool. Currently, the YMCA in Osceola County has been shut down for almost 2 years now due to COVID. And in that time, their pool deck has gotten dilapidated, and they needed $150,000 in order to redo their deck to be able to be cleared to open the pool. So we're providing funding for the YMCA to get that back open. And that's a big deal. One, because it's just a community venue that promotes health and safety, but also it helps train our youth how to swim and how to be comfortable around water, if you will. The number one killer of kids ages 1 to 5 in the state of Florida continues to be childhood drowning. And so we need a facility that kids can get educated and there again feel safe around water, so we can cut down on some of those deaths here in our community. So that's some of the nonprofit stuff we've been looking at talking about as well. And then we also brought up elderly and disabled affairs and senior programming in Osceola County. This is something that Commissioner Janer has been a huge advocate and has led the charge for our commission for a while. So we're continuing to provide some stimulus programs and connect with some of our elderly and disabled individuals to make sure they haven't fallen behind during this pandemic and are taken care of as we move forward. So really a big issue, and we want to make sure that our seniors aren't forgotten in our community, because I personally know how difficult it is if someone's trying to live off Social Security, just for my own family members. And that's a real challenge. So we've got to be able to provide services so they can stay fed and stay healthy and still be an integral part of Osceola County as well.
That, of course, so this qualifies as a diverse workshop. You covered, so you obviously covered arts and theater infrastructure. Then you covered equine therapy, YMCA, which is swimming and senior care as well.
And the next topic, urban forest management, was also a topic of our workshop as well. And this is something that's really key to Osceola County, because we're looking at, we have been concerned as commissioners about development and the destruction of some of our older oak hammocks and some of our older trees throughout our community. It's issues I've raised, as well as my other commissioners have raised as well. We created a tree ordinance a number of years ago, and then the state has obviously come in since then and superseded some of our tree ordinances as well. But what happens, and I just want to make people aware of this, when they tear down trees in a field in order to build a development, those trees are all calculated and measured, and those have to be replaced by new trees that equal up that amount. Now, granted, you might be losing 100 to 150 years of history in some of those destruction of some of those oak hammocks. So that's a real challenge. But what we're looking at doing is creating funding here in Osceola County to work on preserving our urban forest. We have a lot of tree cover already in Osceola County, but a lot of it is not maintained. And so we're going to be looking at maintaining to promote a healthier urban forest, but also building out and adding those tree capacity with new development as well. Because the effect of forest and trees on your economy, on the price and values of your property, play a huge impact. And it plays a huge impact in our daily lives. Also, the amount of heat in our community as well, versus blacktop versus shade. Right. It's a big challenge. So we're really trying to preserve and foster new growth and new development of our urban forest here in Osceola County, so we can have good shade for the rest of our lives.
So lots going on, obviously much to manage in a county. And I babble on about the size of the county, but that's realistically, we are in a very large county, not just population. Geographically, we have a lot of spread as far as the distance from one side to the other, basically. So with all that to manage, here we are in the midst of, at least right now, we're in an inflationary scenario coming off of COVID, still dealing with some COVID, not sure what tomorrow is with COVID. And then just for kicks, an international conflict taking place. Yeah. So how do you make all this happen right now? I guess you just plan past it with the expectation that we're not going to be dealing with it forever. Is that the kind of take you structure yourself with?
That's a good question, Keith. And yes, it really is just laying out the framework for how to move forward over the next 20 to 30 years, right, and not taking such a myopic view of today and the inflation that's happening here in our community. That's one of the things I think our board has really strived for, is creating that long range vision. When I first got elected in 2008, I was shocked that the county did not have a strategic plan. Right. And when I say a strategic plan, I mean on anything, on economic development, on their growth pattern, on how they were going to accomplish their goals into the future. And so that's one of the things that we've really worked on over the last 14 years is creating that plan for sustainability. And we even have an Office of Sustainability here in Osceola County that looks at how do we make moves to make our community sustainable, but also our tax base sustainable. And that's one of the biggest things I've tried to work on, is creating a balanced tax base for Osceola County, because that's the biggest struggle I would tell you we face as a local government, is that imbalance in taxes. And I say that because we are a heavily residential area, and unfortunately, we rely on our commercial and our industrial properties to help subsidize some of the needs and services that are provided here in Osceola County. So we've really tried to take a long range approach to it. And that's kind of what the urban forest management plan is about as well, and same well as with these other improvements, is we're looking to how we make investments in Osceola County to make us more sustainable and more profitable, not only from a tax-based standpoint, but also to a community standpoint.
Yeah, I'm liking everything you're saying today, and to me, I worry sometimes, and this is just me, just talking off the top of my head here, but I worry when there's a community that's growing so fast that we leave behind things like a performing arts, infrastructure of any kind. That tends to get left behind, and the troop I travel with in life's always been that. I know you as well. Certainly connected to those who are either in music or art or theater, all the above. And I think that's really a big part of what quality of life is. And, it's one of the biggest blessings. And I think sometimes, and I mean this 100%, and I would talk with anybody about this. With the diversity this county has, and I kind of said it earlier, some of the most beautiful parts of that is connected to art and what people bring to a community. That is the richness of diversity. That's the richness of it. So I love hearing that you're doing that.
Well, no, and Keith, to your point, we are the melting pot of America now.
Yeah,
I know you people used to say that about New York, but I would challenge you that we have probably just as much, if not more, diversity here in little old Osceola County as New York City does. And to me, I think that's a great thing. That brings new opinions, new thoughts, new opportunities to learn and engage and learn about others and other cultures and society. So, and I think like I said, it just is a great opportunity for us. But we have to have those opportunities for folks to be able to showcase those differences and those cultural opportunities that we all can engage and learn in as well. So that's what we're trying to do.
I agree. And then there's the other thing that once they're educated and enriched, we like for them to stick around or at least come back and frequently as they can be here. And I think that's part of what you're setting up as well, to be honest with you.
It is. As a young man who graduated Osceola High School in 1993, I can tell you that we have had, and hopefully we're starting to turn the tide on this, a huge brain drain in our community over the years. Usually young people that go off to college tend not to come back to Osceola County. They tend to find opportunity in other communities and other large cities throughout the states. And I say that just from my own experiences of individuals I knew that went off to college and how few of them came back to Osceola County to build a business and still make it their home. And I think by providing new economic opportunities, enrichment and cultural opportunities, we can begin to stem that tide and really grow our community for the better.
No, there's nothing more I need to say after that.
That's
summarizes it. Anything else you want to share with us today?
Just one last thing. Big thing that we're looking at doing, we touched on a little bit at our workshop, is our parks and events programming in Osceola County.
Right.
If you're familiar with parks in Osceola County, not in the city of Kissimmee or the city of St. Cloud, but our parks are very passive. We do not offer recreational opportunities. We do not offer programming opportunities. That has always kind of been a city of St. Cloud and a city of Kissimmee things that they've always done. And that usually goes with cities versus counties in a lot of areas. But we've realized that how urbanized our county has become and the demand and want for those park services. So we are looking at next year in our budget, increasing our park staff to begin to look at programming opportunities at our parks. Because we have a parks master plan, we have a parks impact fee that we're collecting on all new development that's going to help us build new parks. And in our parks master plan, we looked at where fields are needed and where passive recreation is needed. And so we have back to that long range vision of how we're going to build out that park system. And we have the financing mechanism already built in place. And so now with those improvements and those added parks, we're going to start adding staff so we can add more event activities and more opportunities really for our citizens. So it's a big move for Osceola County to move that way for park standpoint, but we're excited from a board, and you'll see that start to unfold beginning next year in next year's budget. I lost you again, Keith. You got me muted.
And it would be the same symptom repeated. Well, what I did say to myself was Osceola County, the place to be. And I actually mean it. I told my son he's not allowed to leave after college, so we fixed that one already.
There you go. You're smart to keep them here because there's so much growth and opportunity, and we understand that with growth there are challenges, but at the same time, and I think I've said this before to you, I would much rather be a community in growth and opportunity than a dying community that's looking at how to close schools because we don't have enough children to fill them.
Agreed.
And that is not Osceola County's problem. We have a immense opportunity for new growth, new customers, new neighbors,
Right.
and new opportunities as well.
Very cool. All right. Well, you shared a lot, and I sure appreciate it, man. Anything else you want to tag in there? Or I think we covered it pretty much.
No, I hope everyone has a happy St. Patty's Day and be safe out there. Probably the best thing I could say.
Yeah, and for those who may run into this before, if they go out tonight, AAA does have the Tow to Go program. So if that
That's
happens,
right.
if you find yourself in a position where you really shouldn't be driving, maybe you shouldn't have had those drinks, you can still call AAA and they'll get you home safe.
Great,
Cool.
great adage.
All right, sir. I appreciate your time, man.
Thank you, Keith. You have a great day. Thanks everyone else for tuning in.
You as well. Again, this is Keith with Positively Osceola, along with the chairman of the Osceola County Board of County Commissioners, Chairman Brandon Arrington from District 3, together making a positive difference in and around Osceola County. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.